Welcome to Eventful Endeavors, secrets to crafting the perfect celebration. If you're planning an event and looking for useful tips from industry experts, you're in the right place. So get ready to take some notes and we'll dive right in. This is Eventful Endeavors.
Hey, everybody. We're sitting here with Brett Welch of Hidden Creek. Happy to have you, Brett.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So Hidden Creek is a beautiful family-owned event venue in the Dallas area, just east of Dallas. Glad you're here, all about supporting each other, coming together, and all that good stuff. So let's jump right into it. So you really fell in love with weddings and events after watching your own planner at your wedding. So tell us how you got started.
Yeah, so it's really funny. I actually have a master's in curriculum and instruction. I always wanted to be a teacher. And so I went that whole route, started teaching, and I loved it. I just wasn't in love with it. And then I got married and I planned my own wedding and everything, but I had a day of wedding coordinator. And just watching the way that she handled things that happened, I really respected her. And after the wedding, I just was like, man, she made my day go from here to here. And I wanted to be that for somebody else. Like, she was literally the hero of my wedding. So, little funny story. We had kids at our wedding, which now I don't always recommend because of this. A little girl actually clogged one of the sinks in the bathroom and overflowed the sink into the hall. And so where the bridal suite was, I had to walk down this hallway to get to the chapel to get married. And so my dress was going to get soaked from walking through this hallway of water. And my coordinator literally was on her hands and knees mopping up water so that way I did not have to get my dress wet. And I just was in awe of her. And so after the wedding, I was like, man, I really either want to be a wedding planner or I want to work at a venue, but I know I want to be in weddings. And then Hidden Creek was brand new at the time. And Isaac, the owner, had put out a Facebook ad and I met with him the next day and we just kind of connected and we both were what each other was needing at that time for the business. And ever since then, we've just grown together and everything worked out perfect.
Nice. So how long ago was that? How long have you been there?
That was 7 years ago. So
wow.
Yeah, Hidden Creek is really about 7.5 years old.
So you really found it was serendipity there. You just kind of found
it. It was. The venue was just, getting started, up and growing. They were looking for somebody to come in and just kind of help it grow. And, it's kind of become my baby is what I say. It was my first baby. I have an 11-month-old baby now, but I always say this was my first baby because I kind of helped it grow, watched it take its first steps. And then me and the owner together have really just watched it grow, which has been amazing. And he has kids and a family, and now I have a little baby boy. So it's fun to work for somebody that's so family oriented and in a business where I can bring my son up here if I need to. And it's just really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big part of this industry, especially as a planner, somebody working with brides. It's about the people connections.
Yes.
You get so close to the people, and that's what's really cool about the industry too. And the kind of why we're doing this whole campaign is, kind of bringing that community. Sorry, I can't speak. Together. And helping to support each other because it's real people that are doing these things. It's not just kind of a brand name or a.
Yes, I had a client meeting last night, and the couple has a 2-year-old daughter, and so they brought their daughter up to the venue, and I had my son at the venue, and so they kind of played together while we had our meeting, and it was just fun because I've made this bond with the couple, and so to get to bring our kids together, it was really fun.
Absolutely. Cool. I love that. That's a heartwarming sort of journey that got you there. Okay, so you listed the venue type as Enchanted Forest, which is just about as mystical as it can get. So tell us about the venue. Tell us all about Hidden Creek.
So we kind of look like a barn at first look. You're going to see the brown, the warm tones. So we do look like a barn, but when you look outside, there are so many trees. So fun fact, we didn't plant the trees. They were already there when the owners got the property. And there was already this little natural path leading to like an opening. And so we have now the little concrete path. We have turf out there so the girls don't get their dresses dirty or sink their heels into mud, which is nice. And then all the trees around the ceremony site are wrapped in twinkle lights. So it just gives a really warm, like glow, enchanted forest, fairy tale vibe. Everybody always compares us to Twilight. They say we look like the Twilight wedding scene with all the trees and kind of that forest vibe. So that's definitely what we are.
Nice. So what's your favorite feature? What's your favorite spot or area or feature that Hidden Creek has?
Oh, there's so many. Probably the grand staircase. I love that we have a secret back staircase so the couple can sneak up after the ceremony and then do their grand entrance into the ballroom. And it's really fun to watch everybody be like, whoa, how'd they get up there? So
Nice.
seeing that grand entrance down the staircase is fun. And then obviously the twinkle lights, you can't beat those.
Sure. Okay, cool. So you guys are more than just a venue. What other services do you guys offer? You're kind of a total one-stop shop package.
We really are. So we have so many different packages because we know that every bride is different. Not everybody's going to want the same things out of their venue. So we're really very customizable in our packages. We have different hour packages. We have different inclusions. So we like to kind of meet with the couple and talk about what they need from us and then kind of build out a package based on them individually. So we're a little bit different in that way. And then we do offer all-inclusive packages. So if a couple comes to us and is like, hey, I don't even know where to start. I don't want to have to contact 20 million vendors and ask them questions and vet vendors and find out if they're legit. They can come to us and we will hire everyone for them, all the way from DJ, florist, photographer. We've got them covered. That way, if they don't want to have to do all of that work by themselves, we are here to take that off of them. And then we offer coordination services as well. So myself and some of our other girls here, we do offer planning and coordination for them. And we just have fun little bonus things that we offer. So we offer like some rentals and draping and different little add-ons like that that are always really fun.
Gotcha. So somebody can basically just come to you and say, wedding, please? And you've kind of got everything covered from top to bottom.
Yes. So they can come to us and say, I don't want you to give me anything. Just give me the blank venue and they can build it from there. Or they can come to us and say, I need everything. And I'll be like, here you go.
Yeah, that's a powerful thing. That's part of the community too. I mean, so many people we work with that often will come to us for entertainment. And we like to sort of do the same thing, offer as many vendors and people that we work with as we can, because it's so powerful. They don't even know where to start. It's such a huge undertaking, you know?
Yes. And I mean, and I feel for them because I remember planning my own wedding. I didn't have a full planner. I did it myself. And I remember spending probably a good 10, 15 hours a week just contacting vendors and saying, what's your pricing? Are you even available on the state? Do you travel to this venue? And like spending all of that time planning the wedding. So if I can save these couples 10 hours a week that they can go do something more fun, I'm happy to save them the time and the energy.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. So let's talk about the industry a little bit. So what are some current trends that you're seeing in the wedding event industry, like in your area? Maybe up and coming now versus a year ago? How have your events kind of been going?
So it's funny. I'm actually seeing people moving away from a lot of traditions. We're having so many people not do bouquets and garter tosses anymore. They're cutting those out, which I personally am here for that. I was never a huge fan of the garter toss personally, so I love that we're kind of moving away from that. I think people are starting to realize that it's their wedding and they can do what they want and they don't have to follow tradition. I feel like we always listen to our moms and we're like, tradition. And now we're like, okay, but I don't want to. So moving away from that, I'm seeing a lot of our couples move away from wedding parties. They're not doing bridesmaids and groomsmen. And if they are having bridesmaids and groomsmen, I'm seeing them actually sit down, usually in like the first or second row, and not actually standing up at the ceremony site anymore, which I think is really cool. So that way you do get those ceremony pictures of just the couple getting married. So I'm kind of loving the direction things are going.
Yeah, that's actually a common thing we've been hearing a lot is stepping away from sort of traditional structures.
Yeah.
We play a lot of non-traditional weddings because dueling pianos as entertainment at your wedding is sort of a non-traditional thing already. So that's a trend that we see as well. But that's what we've kind of been hearing, which I think is kind of a marker of maybe the generational turnover in a way as well. I think it's the people generally the age getting married. It's the new generation's kind of turning over. So yeah, totally
Exactly.
agree with you on that one.
Yeah. It
Okay,
would be
so
cool if you had a bride and a groom that both played piano and they could come do a little duel with you or something, or do a duel with each other.
yeah,
It'd be so fun.
yeah, yeah, it would be fun. We've definitely had. I not too long ago, I had the groom surprise the bride with a song he had learned to sing, and we knew
Oh,
about it and we played it. But we were kind of playing, and all of a sudden he takes the microphone, and the bride's like, "What's happening here?" And apparently
that's
he
too
wasn't really musical. He doesn't really sing or anything like that. He just kind of learned. He did a great job too. It was a beautiful moment for sure.
That's a good surprise. Good for him.
Yeah,
I love
for sure. I can never keep that. I wouldn't be able to keep that surprise, like taking lessons for months. Who
that.
knows? But okay, so in that same vein, what's the most unique and fun idea you've seen at a recent wedding or event?
Oh, good question. I would say I love when people do like personalized touches in any way. But we had a bride that her and her dad started the father daughter dance, and they danced for maybe like 20 seconds or so. They weren't big dancers. That wasn't really something that they wanted to do that was important to them. So they started off in a dance just to let everybody get that little investment moment.
Hmm.
And then she was a softball player and her dad was her coach. And so they separated on the dance floor, and she went and picked up her ball and her glove, and she pitched like a softball pitch to him across the venue. So that was
Wow.
like their little special moment. And I just know that they are going to remember that literally forever. And they got it on video, had a videographer, thank goodness. So they have it on video forever. She can show her kids one day. I just
Right.
thought that was so sweet because it wasn't like the traditional father daughter dance that you feel like you have to do. They made it so personal and unique. And that was something everybody in the room cried just because it was so magical to watch her, throw the ball to her dad on her wedding day, something they've done their whole lives together, which
Yeah.
was so sweet.
Yeah. That's a powerful thing. That's. I have two daughters, so it's the father
Oh,
daughter moments that get me like
it
every
hits
time.
home. It
Every
does.
time. It doesn't matter how many times. Every single time.
Yeah,
Um,
it does.
okay, cool. So, tell us about what makes your venue unique. What makes your location ideal for your clients? What makes it kind of special?
Yeah. So I would say we're unique because we are family owned. So we're a little bit different in the way that, like I mentioned earlier, I bring my son with me sometimes. People can bring their kids with them. We're more understanding, I feel like, and we're more personal because we are a family owned business. So we
Hmm.
understand like when hard times hit, if client needs to push a payment back, or, something comes up and they need to reschedule a meeting, like we're not as structured, I feel like, as more of the corporate venues. We're a little bit more flexible and easygoing. And we like to make those more one on one connections with our clients. I love to kind of become their friend, honestly.
Hmm.
So that way on the
Yeah.
wedding day, I'm cheering for them and I'm tearing up and I remember them forever. So we're a little different in that way. And then our location is really unique because we are secluded. We're the only thing on the street. We are on 5 acres. So you have a lot of property with trees and it's really pretty. So you feel very secluded. But we are only 8 minutes away from like 5 different hotels. We are
Oh
10
wow.
minutes away from what's called the harbor here in Rockwall. So it's basically a boardwalk and it faces the lake, and there's restaurants, there's a movie theater, there's hotels, there's patio bars. And that's just 10 minutes away. And Uber comes out here. So it's super
Wow.
convenient to have all of those locations to be able to go to. I always tell our couples if they have family traveling from out of town to stay at the harbor because it is like a little staycation. It's so
Hmm.
fun. You have so many things to do there, and just hang out the day before with your wedding party, go to one of the local bars, hang out on the patio. It's always really fun.
Nice. So it's kind of best of both worlds. You have the seclusion in the country, enchanted forest, and then
Yes.
the city's not too far away.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
So that way, if you forget something too, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have the cake cutting set. Okay,
Right.
Hobby
Right.
Lobby's 10 minutes up the road. You are good.
Yeah. You're not just in the middle of the woods, hours away from civilization.
Yes. And
Gotcha.
having Uber is a lifesaver for those late
Yeah.
nights when people
Absolutely.
had a little too much to drink.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so what about some things that couples should never do? Like some cringeworthy things that you hate seeing at your events? What are some horror stories that you've got?
um, it's so funny because I love to see unique details, but then sometimes people can go a little too far with that. We had a groom one time who our venue is actually really tall in the ballroom. Like the ceilings are super, super tall and they have beams going across. And this groom asked if he could tie a rope to the ceiling beam and he wanted to swing in from the top of the staircase like Tarzan into the ballroom. And I had to explain that when you start on a second floor holding a rope and you swing over a first floor, that's going to be a really far drop.
Yeah.
So that was a little cringy. I was like, oh, I get that you're trying to be unique. I think that's a little too unique.
So did it happen, or did you manage to shut it down?
I talked him down from that one. I was like, let's go down the stairs on our feet, not with a rope.
Yeah. Not to mention, if there may or may not have been a few drinks involved, I could see that just really changing the tone of the entire day.
Yeah, we don't need a cracked head and a trip to the emergency room before the wedding.
Exactly. Beautiful. So as somebody that didn't really plan on doing the, being in the event and wedding industry, but switched to it, is there any advice you could offer for someone that's just starting on their sort of journey or thinking about or dabbling, thinking about stepping into it?
Yeah, I would say to find somebody that is willing to take you under their wing and kind of show you the ropes. I definitely think that the industry is fun. It's a lot of work. I know everybody thinks that it's so glamorous because they're like, oh, it must be so fun to watch weddings all the time. And I bet your job is so much fun. And it is fun, but people don't see the back end work of things. They don't see me ordering like all the toilet paper that I have to order and the paper towels. They don't see us having to wax the ballroom every single week. Like there's a lot of work that goes in that the couples don't see. And I'm glad they don't see. But if you're trying to work in the industry, you're going to have to get like your hands dirty. It's not as glamorous as people make it out to be. So definitely find somebody to take you under their wing, maybe do an internship or start out part-time to make sure that you really love it before you jump in full force ahead.
Sure. Yeah. It's not all just dancing in the twinkly lights of the enchanted forest. There's more to it than that.
Yes. We want our couples to go do that, but we don't.
Right.
Do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's get into some of the logistical sort of details of Hidden Creek. So anybody that might be interested in checking it out or want to kind of know how it works can have an insight into everything. So how's your current availability? How far in advance do you guys book? What kind of flexibility do you have with guest count, things like that?
Yeah, so we can do up to 300 people. We tend to see most of our weddings more in like the 150, 175 range, but we can definitely go up to 300. For availability, I see us booking our Saturdays, usually book up about a year and a half in advance. We'll take bookings anywhere up to 2 years in advance. So the earlier, the better is what I always say.
Sure.
If you're flexible to a weekday or a Friday or Sunday, you can always get in a little bit last minute and save some money too. So for example, we do booking specials right now for the rest of 2024. We're offering 15% off just to try and fill the rest of the dates. All of our Saturdays are gone, but if you're flexible to like a Friday or a Sunday or even a Thursday, you can definitely get some good savings by waiting a little bit last minute.
Yeah, that's kind of true across all, even for us as well. Pretty much any vendors or anybody in the industry, if you're willing to do a good Sunday wedding, you can save a lot of money.
I did a Sunday wedding and I saved a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so give us an average you gave us an event size, but what about an sort of average cost at Hidden Creek if you had to give a range? And is there mandatory gratuity or how does that work for you guys?
Yeah, so there's not mandatory gratuity. We do have in-house catering, so we make it a little bit easier for our clients. They get to pick their package with the venue and then they get to pick their package with our catering. We do catering tasting. So I always tell our couples, come out, try the food, taste it before you select your catering package. We do allow outside catering to be brought in as well for a fee. And then we have like bartending companies that we recommend and all of those good things. I would say our average spend like on an entire wedding, so floral, DJ, photographer, I would say our average wedding that we usually see is about $35,000 to $45,000. You can definitely get in on the lower end if you, again, do like a Sunday wedding is definitely going to save you quite a bit. And we've seen weddings go all the way up to 100,000 that were super elaborate, beautiful weddings. But I would say the average is more in that 35, 40 range.
Gotcha. What about deposits, cancellations? How do those work?
Yeah, great question. So our deposit is actually a lot smaller than most venues. Most venues are going to require a 50% deposit. We only require a 25% deposit to hold a date. And then we do have flexible payment plans. There's no interest or anything like that. And they're always flexible. So I always tell people to, if you want to pay a little more, pay a little bit less. We try to really make sure our clients are comfortable with their payments. Again, being that family owned company, I think we can be a little bit easier on little rules
Sure.
like that and make more accommodations for people.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you're in the business of people as opposed to just, you know, turning over wedding after wedding after wedding, which I
Yes.
love. Um, okay, so I know you're an enchanted forest, but do you have a backup plan for indoor ceremonies in case the outdoor situation is if it's a cloudy, rainy day or something like that?
Yeah. So it's so funny you ask that because when people come on a tour and they ask me that question, I love to joke with them and I go, "Oh, we cancel your wedding." And I just wait for a second and they always look at me like, "Oh my gosh, is she serious?" And I'm like, "No, no, no, I'm kidding." But it's just always so funny to see people's faces when I'm like, "Oh, we cancel your wedding." But of course, we have a backup plan. So like I said earlier, it's turf outside. So if it quits raining, because we know Texas, we love to have those little storms and then it'll blow
Right.
over and we're good the rest of the day. So if it blows over, we go out there with leaf blowers, turf, becomes dry, water rolls right off. So you are good to go. We actually don't have to make a decision until 30 minutes before the ceremony if you want to do it inside or outside. So, because, Texas, it's probably going to blow over. But if we need to flip
Sure.
it and move it inside, we have staff that handles that for you. We put the chairs into rows. We have a beautiful wooden arch that we'll do. You can do draping and floral on it. So you definitely have that indoor backup option.
Gotcha. Very nice. Okay, so how about some timing and setup questions? So,
Yeah,
how early can vendors access the venue for setup on a wedding day? Like if we were playing a wedding there for you, how early
yeah,
can we or other vendors show up?
absolutely. So the venue comes standard with a 12-hour rental. So the clients get to actually pick their 12 hours. We're a little bit different in that way too. We don't tell them what their 12-hour time frame has to be. They can choose if they want to do, let's just say, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. or do they want to do 12 to 12, or they get to pick what hour window works best for them based on when they want to have that ceremony. And then they get to pick um, how much time they have for setup, how much time they want to allot for ceremony, for reception. And then we just ask for at least an hour for vendors to break down everything. Breaking all
Sure.
that equipment down does take a little bit of
Oh
time.
yeah.
So we just ask that they give at least an hour for those vendors to kind of break down everything. And then we can always add on hours if we needed to as well. So again, like those huge elaborate weddings that have a lot of floral install, like if
Sure.
they're doing an install on the ceiling, they might need a little bit more time. So we can always customize that as well. But it does come standard with our 12 hours.
Gotcha. Cool. So I know you're family owned and kind of have a close community. So are you involved in every wedding? Are you the event coordinator or manager on site for every wedding? Are you the main point of contact? How involved are you? Or is there a team that kind of works under or with you?
Yeah. So I'm the venue manager here. And then we have Sydney, who is usually the one answering the emails and the phone calls during the day. And then me or her are both here on the weddings. And then we have some other part time girls that will fill in as closers at the end of the events. But either me or Sydney is here to really get the event started and going. We go through the ceremony, we make sure that everything is running very smoothly. And then we have like an event closer that just comes in for like the party part to kind of lock up and everything. But we have somebody here the whole wedding. So if you ever have like, oh, it's too cold or too hot, or we want the lights dimmed even darker, we include uplighting at the venue. So our girls will change the
Nice.
uplighting color. You have somebody here. We check the restrooms, make sure that toilet paper is stocked and clean up a
Right.
little bit. And then we have that in-house catering. So you've got a lot of staff here during the wedding to make sure everything runs really smoothly.
Gotcha. It sounds very personal. The people they talk to are the people they'll work with, which I love. That's how we try to do it as well.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Well, on social media, you can find Brett and all of Hidden Creek's info. Instagram is at Hidden Creek Events, Facebook Hidden Creek Events. TikTok is The Girls from Hidden Creek, which sounds like a sitcom or a soap opera or something like that.
Right.
I
We
love
need
that.
our own show. I keep telling people.
Exactly, exactly. So if you mentioned you heard about Hidden Creek on the podcast, Brett and Hidden Creek are offering a $500 credit towards your services with them. Anything you want to add for at the end, Brett? Thanks for having us. We're grateful that you were able to do this with us. And like we said, all your info will be listed with the episode. But any sign-offs, any last words you'd like to add?
Just thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad that you're doing this podcast and giving couples a resource to find, reputable vendors. I think it's really hard for couples nowadays to tell which vendors are legit versus going online and finding someone that's not going to show up on your wedding and just take your money. So
Exactly.
thank you for giving the couples this resource to really find vendors that are legit and going to take care of them.
Yeah, it's powerful to just see that vendors that are real people. They're just people, and they're not some mysterious sort of force. So absolutely, well, we loved having you. Thank you so much. Go check out Hidden Creek for sure, and I hope that we can work together someday.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Eventful Endeavors, Secrets to Crafting the Perfect Celebration. We hope to have left you with some actionable ideas for your own event. If you like the show, please subscribe and definitely leave us a review. We read every comment. So until next time, happy planning and see you soon on Eventful Endeavors.